To be a professional mentor, you need to have some sort of idea of coaching, because you can either be a professional mentor, can either be a coach, or it can be like a trainer or a manager. The difference between the two, the trainer or the manager are going to tell you what to do, where the coach is going to work with you, and that's the difference. The coach will not tell you what to do. The coach is going to work with you. Now, the coaching, where it will begin is that you will sit down with somebody and you'll look at you can use the GROW model, which is goal, reality, options, and what next, to actually identify what the long-term and what the short-term goals are. For me, when I mentor pupils, it is coaching. I think it is coaching, because the mentor wants the same outcome as what a coach wants, and they want somebody to be an outstanding practitioner, classroom, learning's taking place. So I think it's the same role. They both are coaches. I mean, you can either remove the word mentor and just put the word coach in it, because that's what they're doing. And they will do the same thing as what a professional coach would do. One of the things that professional mentors can do, they can actually use the GROW model to use with the mentors to help them. Now, the GROW model is a really useful tool because G stands for the goals, short and long-term goals. The reality will be what's actually happening, and that could be the professional mentor observing a mentor providing feedback to the trainee, or it could be the mentor doing a data observation of a lesson and what the reality is happening in the lesson. The option bit is whether either the professional mentor is saying to the mentor, well, these are the options you've got available when you're giving feedback, or it's the mentor talking to the trainee saying, well, in your lesson, have you realised you're doing this. But what if we just tweak that a little bit, so there's a bit more facilitation and there's a bit more inclusive questioning, there's a bit more higher order thinking skills. And then it's either, depending if you're talking to the mentor or the trainee, then they will decide what they want to do, what the next steps will be, and there'll be a time frame, because you've got to measure impact at the end of that time frame and see if it's working. If it's not working, then it needs to be tweaked again. If it is working, it needs to be sustained, and then you need to move on to something else. Once you've done the GROW plan, you've identified the areas for development, and you will then know, or the coach will know, certain people around school that this trainee can go and observe and get some ideas. And it's got to be, it doesn't have to be a full 60-minute lesson, just a 20-minute, something like that. Just go and observe how he or she works with a lower ability. Just go and see that person on differentiation. Just go and see that person on questioning. Coaching works because the trainees will see it as they're in charge of the process, whereas training, the trainees will see it as somebody else in charge of the process, and I'm being told what to do. Whereas if you go down the coaching route, if the mentors go down coaching route, then the trainee is fully in charge of the process, and the trainee decides how to do the next step and how we're going to measure the impact and then what's happening. The fact that the trainee comes up with a solution, it shows that the trainee has bought into the process, likes the process, can see it's leading somewhere. And it goes back to my saying where you don't lead the horse to the water, you make the horse thirsty. And the trainee is now thirsty. The trainee will go to the water itself. That's what it's all about. The trainee must realise how important this process is and what value they're gaining out of it, because they're in charge of the process. And if the mentor makes it look as if they are in charge of the process, that's half of your job done. But it's the way you feed back. If you go in with negative, the trainee will switch off. For instance, if they go and observe an outstanding lesson, and you say, well, what's your short-term goal? And they'll say, well, my short-term goal is to teach like that. Well, brilliant. Okay, I like it. So how do you think we're going to get there? Because I've just done a data observation. This is where you want to be. This is what you are. How do you think we're going to do that? And let them come up with the solutions. All the mentor can do is offer suggestions. Well, what about this? What about this? Have you read this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Simple little thing. And the trainee will say, well, actually, yeah, I like this. I've not tried this. Let's try this. Let's try it. And again, it's the trainee coming up with the solutions. And the trainee's bought into it. Every mentor should be encouraging their trainees to try something different. I've just sent you over there for 20 minutes. What did you notice? Oh, right, this teacher did this. Why don't you try it? Try it. And then reflect. If it doesn't work, then tweak it. Not everything works. You've got to tweak different strategies, haven't you? Because they're not all going to work. But you're just going to try until you find one that does work. one of the things that can come up between the conversation between the trainee and the mentor is the mentor could talk about SMART, something specific. So it could be marketing feedback, something that's measurable. Well, this is what your marketing feedback is now. Let's see what it is like after we've done this. Something achievable, something realistic, something achievable, something realistic. A target within a time frame. And then, some of my experiences, marketing feedback is a big area. So you say, well, what's the issue? And they'll say, well, it's the volume of books. So you do something specific. You say, well, hold on. So when do you have to mark them by? 2 weeks time. Well, let's see if we can do so many per day or something like that. But it has to be marked with diagnostic feedback. Then the pupils have to respond to that. You've got to acknowledge that. But something measurable, something tight within a time frame. And then hopefully you'll see an impact.